Hello everybody, thank you Geraldine so much. I hope I don't fall apart. I have so many safety pins on me. The dress fell apart this morning, two there, and four at the back. Thanks they didn't put me together this morning. Yeah, my name is Miriam, and I'm a survivor of the industrial school system in Ireland. I don't know if any of you know what happened, but on the 11th of May 1999 I was in London. And I was working with a wonderful Jewish man, and he told me a bit about his story. I kind of shared a little bit. I said, oh, he was small like me, so it was great. And then he rang me up and he said, Miriam, the Taoiseach at the time, birthday Erne, is after apologising on behalf of the state and the people of Ireland for the cruelty that happened in all industrial schools and reformatory schools in Ireland, and I was in one of them. I was a baby. I was born in 1957. I'm 67 now, and my mother got very sick, and she had tuberculosis. And at that time, your parents, if your mother got TB, fathers weren't allowed to look after their children, and I was the youngest of 6. So my mother was sent to a sanatorium, Edinburgh, and we were taken away from our father. We were taken to court. I was a baby, and I was to be detained until I reached the age of 60. No representation, just go in there, and that was your life. I didn't know my mother, I didn't know my father. I wouldn't have known my 2 siblings that came in before, that was with me, Joan, Lord rest her soul, and Erne. I was a baby, so I wouldn't have remembered going in there. But as soon as you enter those doors, first of all they took your name, and they gave you a number. Mine was 1061. So from the time you went in to the time you left, and I was almost 13, I was never called my name. They stripped you of your dignity. They stripped you of everything. They owned you now. My first memory of cruelty, of seeing it, was the morning my sister, Anya, was making her first Holy Communion. I was about this size. Could be there. And I was down at the bottom of the stairs. My sister Joan was holding my hand, and I was looking up at the top of the stairs, waiting for her to see her in her little white dress. My sister had come up the evening before, and she gave us a bag of sweets that Mom had given us. That was the first time I heard Mom. Got the sweets, ran down the corridor, put the sweets into my knickers, and in case the girls saw them, and I ate them. The following morning, I was down the stairs waiting for Anya to come down with another girl. And I could hear screaming, shouting, "You won't eat sweets again." And it was the nun. And I looked up, and next thing, all I saw was my sister being thrown over the banisters and onto the floor below. All I could see was I was there, Joan was there, the other girls were there, and she walked down the stairs and she walked over her, and she says, "I hope she dies and burns in hell, and you won't eat sweets again." And I remember looking back at the statue of Our Lady. It was just in our Sacred Heart corridor, and I was 5 years old, and I remember saying, I have to survive this. And it's then I learned how to survive. Now it's with 52 other girls, 4 dormitories, St. Bridget, St. Anne's, St. Germain's and St. Vincent's. We all are different stages. And I went No. I could not believe that was the first time I saw cruelty. It was my sister. Now, I don't know how I knew she was my sister, because the other girls were there, but there was something special about this bond I had with Joan and Erne. And from that day, my sister Erne was brain damaged. Not that she ever got any, they denied it, of course they denied it. Nuns, Sisters of Mercy, I can guarantee to you, they showed children no mercy, ever. As soon as you entered those doors, your life. Then it was my turn to meet my Holy Communion. Right? Oh my God, the fear. My mother never came up the night before. I still hadn't met my mother, but my sister Brita came up. No, she didn't. Nobody came. So the following morning, Joan got me up and my hair now was this short, like, you know. They put a bowl on top of your head and cut your head. Lovely, great style. So Joan tore up pillowcases and she made little ringlets for me. I was like that, standing up, beautiful. And the nun came up the stairs, she gave Joan my dress. Joan put on my dress and veil. And I prayed to Our Lady, the statue, please don't let nothing happen to me today. The nun had her hands behind her back, and I was walking down the stairs, and whatever way I looked, I see my sister Brita. I said, is Mom? No. The nun said, you can have these with the prayer book, the rosaries, and the medal. They're absolutely beautiful. Little case, little bag, and it was kind of mother of pearl. And went off to Mass, made my Holy Communion, and then I looked up and I went, there was two boys serving Mass, and my sister Joan said, they're your two brothers. What? Like I didn't say that, I went, oh my God, like. And they were in another industrial school, but they were in opposite us, in another home, the boys' home. Made my Holy Communion, had a fabulous day, absolutely fabulous. Came back to the industrial school, made breakfast, and that was it. The following day, everything changed again. I just made my Holy Communion and I was in bed. The next thing, it was the middle of the night and the nun woke me from my sleep. And she said to me, follow me. She caught me by my hair. She dragged me to the dormitory, down the stairs, the 13 steps of the stairs, and that's why the number 13 is very important to me, because I was counting them, and she was putting my hair. And she says, there was a kind of the Sacred Heart corridor, there was a door to the right, which led out into the dog yard. It was part of the industrial school, but it was open spaced. Under the window, there was a kind of a box where the firewood was kept. She said, take off your nitrous and get into that box and stay there. I did what I was told. I went in and laid in the box. And I turned kind of like in the fetal position so she wouldn't have to see me. And next thing, I waited for the door to slam and close. And I remember turning around and I looked up and all I could see was stars. And I started counting. And I fell asleep. And my next memory then was the nun, give me back my nitrous. And I never forget her face, because she had a mouth like in a zip, her lips. And she says, if you ever tell anybody where you were, you will never see the light of day again. But when I got back up, my sister Jo was waiting at the top of the stairs for me, knowing she had been already in there. And she said to me, shh, don't tell anybody. Because if I did, it was going to be worse. And I didn't. You dare tell anybody. It got worse and worse and worse. They tied you to your bed. They stripped you, they put you like the cross. And they beat you in another county. And your tiny bodies. And they called themselves good people. But I knew I was not born just to be abused, physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused. I knew I was born for a reason. And I said, I will survive this. And my God, I will. Joan was everything. She was my mom, my best friend. She was just everything. And Joan left before me in 1969. Joan was 16. It was like, and I knew it was her birthday. And I was in school, and I said to them, I need to make Joan a card and yellow crepe paper. I never forget it. She loved yellow. And I see all the flowers she was doing, like when I said, oh, yellow. And I came back at lunchtime, and the nun said, you could say your goodbyes now. How am I going to leave it out? Because she was protecting us. She protected everybody. She told me I was her princess. I was her fairy. I was the most beautiful girl that she's ever met in her life. The love we had for each other, you cannot buy that. And then she was leaving, and we were up outside the parlour door. And next thing I stood, and she had her little bag, and the nun was standing next to me. And she says, I've got to go now. And everyone was screaming. I don't think I've ever screamed so much to come back for me. And she was walking down the avenue, and I don't know what kind of a wheel I left. And she was gone. And then what she said was, I'll come back for you. And I knew she would, because she never broke her promise. But the nun changed that day. For what reason, I do not know. She says to me, Miriam, and she didn't call me Miriam, she just go up to bed. I thought I was going to get a beating. And I didn't. I got a tray with biscuits and milk. I don't know what the nun saw that day. She must have seen something that she had not witnessed before. She probably had never witnessed the love between two sisters, or never seen somebody leave with another sibling standing there. And I left. That was in 1969, October. And in June 1970, we were released into our flames. And that was we went in on June the 16th, 1959, which is an amazing number for me, a number to never forget. And we left in July 1970. I never knew my birthday. I did get a present from a girl in school, and the nun called me a beggar. And not only did she beat me, she took my rosary beads, my prayer book, and my medal, and burnt them in the fire in front of me. The only thing my mother gave me, she destroyed it. The only possessions that I had. When I went home, I don't know, I was from school, and my sister Joan had a cake, little cake, my mom's, and I said, whose birthday is it today? She said, it's yours. I said, what? I said, my birthday's in November. No, she said, you were born on the 11th of October. I went, oh my God, I'm 13. I'm celebrating my first birthday. Proper birthday today. And I went, that's weird. I said, number 13. And somebody said, that's unlucky for someone. I said, well, it's lucky for me that I'm alive and I'm here. And then, my father was the cruelest man that was ever born. He abused me for 7 years until I decided to leave home, and I ran away to London. And I said, I can make it. If I can make it in London, I can make it anywhere. I met my husband a week after, and I married him 7 months later. And I was kind of pregnant as well. It was great. It was great. I was very skinny anyway, so he was 6'4", and he stand up 2 steps for the photographer to take a picture. And I had a son. My son was born 2 days before my 23rd birthday, and Brendan. And I thought it was like, this is it. Like, this is for all I ever wanted to be. And I remember after having him and holding him and counting his fingers and toes, I said, even if I had to lie on my back, nobody's taking you from me. And I just had this motherly, I love you. This is the only thing, I don't own you, but nobody can take you. I never had anything. I didn't even have my name. And then I had my second son, Lord have mercy on his soul, he passed away the day after he was born. Very strange story, it's in the book. And nobody would believe what happened. And I brought him back to Cushendar. And I buried him with his uncle. And when I looked at the grave, they're the same dates. 29th of June, 1977, 29th of June, 1985. And I remember my mother, a beautiful woman, Mrs. Owens, and she remember catching me by the hand. She says, before Brendan died, he said he was going to come back for a baby, and I think he came back for yours. Within seconds, that, do you know that feeling of death and emptiness? I went, oh my God, he's up in heaven of it. Perfect. And then I had a second, third son, and a fourth son, and I have 3 sons now. But I suppose the saddest moment in my life, my marriage was rocky, very rocky. I didn't know love. I thought when he said, I love you, oh my God, he loves me, like. But not true love. Not like it. And then I suppose my life, the moment that changed my life was my sister Jo phoned me. We used to phone each other every Friday night. And I was at work in the cab office. And next thing, she just, this is the words. Hi Mare, can you come home? I got about 48 hours to live. I went, what? No. And I just blank. I came, no, she didn't die straight away. I came home, and she got out of the bed, she looked like, it was just like a skeleton. And they wouldn't have recognized her. So we all went into the room, bear in mind there's 9 of us, and I was the last. And she says to me, I have nothing to give you, personally. But all I can give you, she said, is what's left in me. And there's only a couple of things I need you to do. I want you to leave your husband. Well, not straight away, because he'd think I was definitely crazy. And you deserve every bit of happiness in the world. You're an amazing person. You go and make your life. So my son's birthday was the 7th of June. I said, I better go back, like, because children don't understand. You know, that you promised me to give them a party. And I said, okay. I went back, and I was working, and I got a phone call at 8:15 in the morning. John passed on the 16th of June, 1994. Now, I wouldn't have known that was the same day we went into the industrial school until 1999. When John died, my life changed. Everything happened. I felt her there. I felt her everywhere. And she guided me back to Mary, back to who I was born to be, a survivor. I came back to Ireland, and if my husband, strangest story ever, it's in the book, nobody will believe this. It was like a miracle, absolute miracle. It wasn't planned, it just happened. I remember coming back, and on the boat with my 2 youngest sons, Brendan was 19, and I said, all I had was a little bag with all just their pictures and their birth certificates, no clothes, just in case sometimes I was running away, and ended up in a refuge, guided. Everything guided. And I went, this is weird. And then, that memory of me in the box, counting the stars, and Joan was 40 when she died, came back to me in 2005. I was in bed, and I was out to get in my council house. And my sister had bought me an ornament. And when you shook it, stars were in it. Her daughter was sitting at the bottom of the bed, and she broke it. And the whole room filled up with stars. And then I said, I'm going to do a project called Our Stars for Life, in memory of my sister Joan, and I'm going to fill the garden centre for the stars. And I did, in her memory, but of all cancer sufferers, and especially for Joan. So 40 years later, to the date, I did that Stars for Life. And when that garden centre, I put up every star myself. I stayed in it. I put up No, I didn't go up the tree because like it was up to the ceiling. Thousands of stars. And that was the memory of the box. So something really bad happened to me. It's actually really good because it was something that came alive, and I did make it come alive. It was absolutely probably one of the best days of my life. And I remember once when I was inside the industrial school, when Joan asked the nun, she said, one day everybody will know Mary. And that was the only time I've ever heard my name spoken properly. Because Mum used to call me Mirror. You know, and you can't buy Mirror either, there's prices, isn't it? And then the apology came, the redress board came, the way we were treated, the vaccine trials. I had my womb removed, my ovaries removed at the age of 31. They went black, and it was through the vaccines, and they're still denied to this day. But I'm still standing, and I will stand for every person that was brought up in the industrial school system, reformatory schools. They tried to shut us up. And I said, I didn't have a voice then, but I have a voice now. And my God, when I started writing my book 13 years ago, it just happened. I've never read that book because I think when I finished, I don't know how I did it, because I didn't even know how to do that. It's like I was guided all the way through this book. And I do believe my sister Jo, here, Angel, guided me the whole way, even though she tried to leave my husband, and my ex-husband is very good to me. I've got 4 grandchildren. The oldest is a girl, Isabella Rose, and then there's Oliver, Dexter, and Carter. Right, so nice names, they all rhyme as well, don't they? And they live in London, so I don't have them here in Ireland with me, but I do go over very often to see them. And Isabella's making her first Holy Communion this year, so it'll be the first. I bought all her clothes she could wear. So I want her that special day. And I just want her to be happy. But that's why I wear pink. I still think I'm that little girl. So that's why I work with children now in state school, and they're singing like, I'm a star, and I went, yeah, you are, of course you are. And that's what I do. I love doing. I love making people happy. And I think that the way to a child is to be a child. You know, don't ever stand above them, you stand with them. Not that I've been very proud of them all that sense. But, and basically, you know, I'm here today, I'm still here. And I don't know who said it earlier, I wanted to make sure I lived every decade. Because I didn't think I'd live till I was 20. And I thought, don't I know me, don't. I want to see my children grow. I want to be me. And if I can't be survivors' voices, what can I be? Some people can't even talk, but I am their voice. And they never shut me up. And my name is Marion, and this is my voice. And